It takes a person of particularly putrid, which I have to say, we don't use the term putrid enough in our society to describe people who are, in fact, putrid. So already, I like this guy. Okay, you guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have two very wild stories for you. They're very similar in theme because basically we are dealing with two mega Karens. Sorry for anyone's name who's Karen. We're actually going to make a tiny little mini discussion on that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But first, we are going to be dealing with a wannabe foodie influencer who not only dined and dashed on a $300 bill, but also had the audacity to leave a scathing review after she dined and dashed. You can't make this stuff up with influencers. We have to, as a society, stop putting influencers on this pedestal and letting them get away with this type of behavior. But then the second story is just not an influencer, but a full-on Karen who went out of her way to basically try to destroy a small business's reputation by, lying, making up this crazy story that didn't happen. So let's get into these two stories. But before we do, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, very close to hitting 20,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool. I would love to hit 20,000 by fall. Also hit that thumbs up button and let's get right into it. Okay, so first, let's talk about this wannabe foodie influencer. Honestly, it's very embarrassing for her. So there is this food reviewer, and I'm using the term food reviewer lightly, food critic lightly. Her name is Diane. She goes by Fashions Digest on Instagram. She's in the New York area, typically, I think, does New York reviews, but for whatever reason, she was in New Orleans.
So yeah, it's me post filming. I know I said it wrong. It's New Orleans, but just bear with me. I say it wrong many, many more times to come. So I apologize for that.
And hit up a restaurant in New Orleans asking if she could do a review on their restaurant. And the restaurant owner said, yeah, sure, come on in, let's do it. Sounds great. They DM'd a bit back and forth on Instagram, kind of agreed to the terms, if you will. And Diane and her friend came to the restaurant. They racked up a $300 bill, got tons of drinks, tons of different food, and they were there for a while. And you would think, okay, $300 for two people, all those drinks, all that food. She must have had a pretty decent time. But no, that's not what happened at all. She actually left this incredibly rude review, but she left out the part where she didn't pay the bill. Okay, so here is the review. It's the first part. The second part is her response after the owner replies back to her. But she says, skip this place, not worth the hype or the price. It's sketchy. It looks like a plain barn, no charm, no character, with hardly any customers, which after doing research, I don't think that this is the busy season, which is why they don't have a lot of customers, which is yet another reason why you should be extra nice to your server and not dine and dash. You should never dine and dash, obviously, but there wasn't a lot of customers there because it was their slow season. And then you didn't pay your bill. But anyway, she said the food was average at best, yet priced like a fine dining spot in a much nicer part of New Orleans with so many amazing places in the city offering great food and atmosphere. Don't waste your time or money here. Okay, so the owner did a long response and there's receipts to come. The owner gets on the on TikTok, so there's more, but the owner's husband actually responded to this and he said, it takes a person of particularly putrid, which I have to say, we don't use the term putrid enough in our society to describe people who are, in fact, putrid. So already, I like this guy. Okay, so it takes a particularly putrid character to comment on the price of a meal when she walked out without paying for it. And it didn't seem your party felt uncomfortable in our barn while you were ordering your 7th and 8th cocktails. And your coded language about the neighborhood is something every New Orleans can hear right through. Once again, revealing your dark character. I did find it funny while photographing your license plate for the police report that your husband was removing the club from what I believe was a rental car. Well, I should also point out the majority of our diners disagree with your assessment since we have less than 10 non 5-star reviews. Some describing the amazing personal experience they received from us. They are all real reviews. I don't pay for fake ones like you pay for your fake followers, which gonna get into that one because that's definitely probably a pretty accurate, thought. Anyway, the total of your bill was around 290, and for that, you got 8 alcoholic beverages, 7 food items, 2 desserts, and a liter of Pellegrino. I would say that we are very competitively priced. I had to pull the receipt for the police report also, so I did a little counting. Speaking of receipts, I have plenty more, including your communication with us. And then he goes on to say he's going to release the receipts if she, doesn't take down the review. And just a quick refresher before we get into the receipts, she responded to his response saying, "Wow, I left a review above." And the response from Andy at Pulcinella is completely unhinged and full of falsehoods. I since learned why there are no negative reviews for this restaurant. They reportedly use smear tactics and intimidation to pressure people into deleting their honest feedback. This behavior is unacceptable, and I will be reporting this restaurant for slander and harassment. I don't know who she's going to report it to, but that is what she's going to do, even though they have proof that she did not pay her bills. So let's get into all of the proof.
So I received a message via our Puccinella Instagram from this woman on this account that said, "Hey, we'd like to come in and do some content on the restaurant." Great, sounds like a plan. I asked for clarity. I was like, "Hey, are we going to expect him to pay anything, comps, all of that stuff?" She's like, "Nope, just going to get two things. We're going to send, I think she said 2 to 3 influencers, and we'll do a story, some stories, a reel, whatever." I was like, "Great, sounds great. Do you want to come to the show also? Because on Friday nights we do the dinner and a show option." She says, "Yes, that's great. It's cool. 6:30 p.m. Da 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 da." Right. So that day she ends up changing her reservation to 8 p.m. Not the end of the world. Just means that she's not going to come to the show. That's fine. Still, we'll get some attention for the restaurant. That sounds great. Um, so I'm upstairs doing the show. I'm not downstairs on the floor. Andy was downstairs on the floor that night. And so fast forward, it's the end of the show. Things are wrapping up. I am getting everybody paid. I get a text message from my server and she says, "Hey, can you come downstairs? Because the influencer is saying that she's not supposed to pay anything." And so I go downstairs. At this point, I'm armed and ready, right? I have my phone in my hand. I have the message pulled up. I'm like, ready. Walk over to her table and she's like, "Oh, you misunderstood me. That means that you just don't have to pay us, but everything should be comped." And I was like, "But I asked you for clarity." Um, and and she's like, "No, I mean, that's how this works, and this is what we do." And so then at that point, Andy and I go to the side and are chatting, and I was like, "Look, I was like, my mistake. I didn't realize. I will cover the cost of this. I'll make sure the server gets tipped out." He's Italian. He's like, "No." So we're standing there and we're like looking at the tab and trying to figure out how she has racked up such a high bill because it's almost $300. And if you've been to my restaurant, you know that for two people to rack up a $300 bill, you have to order a lot of stuff because we work really hard to keep everything very comparably priced and accessible to everyone. And so I'm going to show y'all at the end. I'll show you what she ordered just so that you can see. But yeah, a lot of it was drinks. There are a lot of drinks on there, as you can imagine. There was food as well. I'm looking at it right now while we're talking, but I'll show you that at the end. So anyway, proceed. Andy starts to step in, and Andy is addressing this and saying, "My wife is the one that you were talking to. She asked for clarity. This is deceptive, and the fact that you all are willing to come in here and ring up a $300 tab and that you expect it to be comped is kind of ludicrous." And so there's some fussing that happens back and forth. Um, we were like, "We expect you to at least tip our server, and we're going to figure this out on our end, but you need to leave now." And so they end up leaving. It was her and one other person, an older gentleman. Neither of them really looked like influencer-y to me. Not no insults to the influencers. I know some lovely influencers out there who are wonderful people, but they didn't like have the look or the vibe or whatever kids are saying these days. Anyway, you know what I mean. And so they leave. There's like some squabbling that's happening. I'm not really out there for it because I'm inside and I'm actually a bit mortified. I feel embarrassed and I feel like maybe I did something wrong or that I should have handled this differently. But I went back and made sure I was like, I feel like I was pretty clear. I do. I feel, feel like I was pretty clear as she was leaving. She's like, is $300 a lot for you? And I was just like, because $300, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Is it a lot? Yes, it's a lot for a small business. Absolutely. And to write it off as such, to just be like so flippant about it, like, oh, you should just be able to eat that. No problem.
So here you can see this is what she ordered. This is all before tax. This is our communication back and forth. At the top, you can see that she tried to delete her initial correspondence. She was the one that reached out to us. And so this is our little back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, right? I am all for if you had a bad experience and you're not able to work it out, using, a review for a restaurant or a store or whatever and saying, what happened. But if you are not paying your bill and you're expecting for to get this, royal treatment because you're an influencer, it's gross. It's so gross. And it gives all influencers a really bad name, even though you're going to see in a minute, she's not really an influencer. But since all of this has been unfolding on TikTok and social media in general, Diane has disabled her comments on Instagram. And what I think is fishy, and what I've been kind of alluding to, and even what the owner's husband talked about, she has, I think, 60 or so some thousand Instagram followers. But if you go through her post, her engagement is pitiful. She might get like 100 likes, doesn't get any comments. I mean, I guess she's since disabled comments, but either way, like it's there's not a lot of engagement going on if for having 60,000 followers. And honestly, I would not be shocked to find out that this isn't her first time, trying to pull a stunt like this, trying to get a free meal, being like, oh, I have 60,000 followers and, can I come to your restaurant and I'll post you on my Instagram? And think about it. Not everyone in the restaurant world is going to go and look at all of her metrics. They're probably thinking, if they're a smaller business, especially, like, oh, wow, it'd be great to get this press. It could really help our business. She says she has 60,000. Look at her account. She has 60,000. Okay, but if she's buying those followers, or even if she didn't buy them, but they're not engaging, it's not going to help the restaurant out. And either way, she should not be expecting a free meal, especially when she and the owner talked about the expectations. The owner said, are we expected to comp your meal, whatever? And she said, no. I'm not saying that, food critics don't exist, people in that space don't exist, and they don't have a purpose, but something with Diane just seems really, really fishy. Will never understand the audacity of some of these influencers, wannabe influencers, people like that. I just do not get it. Her causing a stink like that in a restaurant, wouldn't she be embarrassed? But apparently not. Apparently not. Okay, so our next story isn't about an influencer per se, but it's about a full-on unhinged Karen. This Karen took it upon herself to basically try and destroy a small business owner and her business by literally using every corner of the internet that she could find. So there's this business called Bloom Consignment Boutique, and they posted a TikTok explaining what went down. Basically, this woman showed up to one of their pop-up consignment sales and was being rude the entire time. Just from start to finish, she was not a nice person. But then to top it all off, at the end of the interaction, because it didn't go the way that this woman wanted it to, she threatened this business owner and told her that she was going to make it her mission to destroy her business.
Come sit with me and cry for a minute. There is a woman that shopped at our event. She goes by Bella Cozy online, and she is actively harassing me on the internet, and she has said that she is going to make it a mission to ruin my business. So let me tell you how we got to this point, because it's kind of insane. There was a lady that came in this morning to our sale. This is our last full price day. Tomorrow is half off day. She was coming to check out. When she first came in, her demeanor, she was not very friendly to other customers, other workers, but a lot of times we ignore that because we don't know who, what people go through, or who, we just don't know. So we're always just chill. We're not offended. She then gets some stuff and she proceeds to check out. At that point, we told her we have a big sign that says what our event fee is. She was not happy with that event fee, and I just told her, I'm sorry, that is what it is. She proceeded to cuss me out, and the stuff was laying on the table. I just pulled it back, and I said, I'm sorry, I won't be able to be serving you anymore. Could you please leave? I don't allow people to cuss me out, nor should anybody else. And at that point, she then decided to walk out the door and cuss me out the door and said she was going to make it a mission to ruin my business. And oh boy, she has spent all day doing it. She has posted on every single post that I have ever made about my franchise. She has commented on every single HIP group. There is now a thread on HIP Springfield about me, and I didn't do anything. I literally didn't do anything. She's now is trying to contact the Better Business Bureau, which will do nothing because nothing we do is illegal. But she has spent all day harassing me on the internet. My notifications are 100 pages long of her just talking about how awful I am, which she doesn't even know me. But the sad thing is that there's lots of people in the comments that are like, oh, I've never been there, and now I never will. And they just don't, they don't know that's not even what this lady described the situation of what happened, and it's not even accurate at all. And she doesn't realize that lying on the internet does hurt people.
So Kennedy, the woman in the video, said that she did her best to get the reviews all taken down from these different sites and Facebook pages. I was able to find a couple, so I'm going to read you one just to kind of give you an idea of where this woman's headspace was in. Okay, so this woman, Bella, said, horrible experience today at the statement sale. Apparently, statement charges customers the same amount as sales tax, but doesn't actually pay any sales tax. They keep that money knowing the customers will think that it's sales tax. Does that seem super shady to you? When I questioned the attendant about it, she said, well, you don't have to buy anything then. Snatched my items back and said, we're refusing service to you. I was completely shocked. It was $100 worth of items from one seller. So that's not very fair to them either. I will never be back. Allegedly, she left out a lot of things that basically that's not what happened, according to Kennedy. And she put all of these type of reviews everywhere. And I guess they got a lot worse. She kind of would reword things, but either way, they were just nasty, unnecessary reviews. And she was upset about something that this Kennedy it wasn't in her control. So yeah, either way, it's definitely giving quite a different account of what happened. But being that so many of the reviews have been taken down by Kennedy, by admins of these different Facebook pages, I would assume from Diane, so that she's probably getting harassed because her Facebook page is out there now. I don't know. I tend to believe Kennedy on this one. It's crazy to me, and maybe it shouldn't be since it's 2025, but that people can just blatantly lie in a Google review. Like I said, reviews on anywhere, Facebook, Google, whatever. If they're real, okay, you should be able to say your experience, but you shouldn't be able to use it as a tool to destroy someone's business by lying and just completely making up this crazy story when it was actually you that was the problem. Either way, I think this was definitely a blessing in disguise for Kennedy because the video is blowing up on TikTok. People are going and giving her good reviews. I'm sure that she is getting some good sales out of this. So the internet can be nasty and it can also work in your favor. And in this case, I do think that it worked in Kennedy's favor. I think that's going to be it for today's episode of Crazy Karens. I've always felt bad for people named Karen ever since the term, Karen took over, but I did see a TikTok, and so maybe if your name's Karen, you can rejoice in this news.
Millennials, they are out here trying to decide what's our generation's name equivalent for a Karen. We will pick our own Karen. We know exactly who are the a-holes of our generation. So I made a video, my last post, and here are the names that keep popping up. Now's the time to vote on it, so when you're in the comments, you can put in your 2 cents. Ready for the names? Here we go. Ashley, Brittany, Heather, Amber, Tiffany, Jessica, Nicole, Becky, or Kelsey. These are the names that keep popping up. Now, there's been an honorable mention from Michelle's or Lauren. I don't really know any millennials named Michelle, but I do know some named Lauren. You guys put in your vote. We will choose our own Karen name and not anybody else. Let's vote in the comments.
It's silly, I know, but I just thought it was kind of a funny conversation or a funny TikTok because I am a millennial and I never thought of it that way, that, yeah, I'm sure there will be a new term at some point, and it won't be Karen. It'll be whatever the popular name is for my generation. But anyway, what do you think about all of this? Are we even surprised anymore that these influencers are expecting the most while doing the absolute least? Let me know what you think. Thank you as always for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video.